interested in trying out the Wars of Light and Shadow, but aren't sure you want to jump right into a long series of pretty long, dense books, well, this may be a good place for you to just dip a toe in and give it a shot. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to be talking about The Gallant, which is a novella, I guess, that's set in the world of Janny Wurts, The Wars of Light and Shadow. And this takes place almost 650 years before the events start in the main series with the first book. And so it's not quite like a prequel necessarily. It's one of those things where you don't necessarily have to read it, and you could read it really at any point. Like, I actually just read this after finishing Peril's Gate, which, you know, is a bit of a ways into the series. It's the fifth book when you're going for the hardcovers, and I decided to give this a read. But it does do something where it's placed in the world, and it's not going to, like, spoil anything or do anything. You could read this just on its own, and there's a lot more you're going to get out of it once you start reading or if you've already read, but it lets you jump in and just kind of see what you think, and it's only a little over 100 pages, so it's a pretty quick read to get through if you want to try it out. And the premise of The Gallant is pretty simple. We have Varain, who is the well-known, he's a Gallant from the city of Shand, and he is caught up in a conspiracy that's happening, and the very unlikely Lysiane is the one who may be able to save him, and that's kind of what we set up. And this does have a little bit of a different feel, I'll say, than some of the Wars of Light and Shadow, because I feel like at the heart of this is a love story, which there is some romantic elements that are in the Wars of Light and Shadow, but at the time we are in the main series, it's very much not the focus, so you get to have that as kind of the basis here, but this also does give some more backstory into a character that is important, although not one of the main characters, but an important character in the main series. So it gives you a little something extra that you can catch if you start with this or if you read it later, while also just telling a compelling story. And it's really interesting having read as much of the series as I have, because the time period that this takes place in, I also think is an interesting time, because this isn't like as some really big events that we've heard about are happening. We're not seeing like the beginning or like those events happening or even the aftermath. We're at kind of the start of things moving in the direction that they're going to go. And so it's really interesting seeing just what the differences as well as similarities are in this world before a lot of other things happen, and it gives us a glimpse of some things that we haven't really gotten to see in the main series, as well as also just kind of showing how things started to get the ball rolling. This is still, you know, it's short and it's focusing on just our character's story, but it does a lot to kind of build out the world, and even if you're reading this on your own, I think you'll see a lot of the richness of the world. And like I said, I think this actually would be a good place to kind of get an introduction into the world. And the author, Janny Wurts, has said on her website, where you can get this, by the way, which I will link down below as well, that this is a kind of a good introduction, and it's something that does not require any background on the series. And I would agree, you're still going to be having a lot of terms kind of thrown out at you, which is something you're going to get in the main series anyway, but this gives you a kind of bite-sized look to see what you think, how you feel about the writing style, if you're interested in the world. And then if you read this first, you'll get to have that, like, oh, so this is what ended up happening, because you just get little hints of things that are to come here. And so I think it fits really, really nicely. And sometimes it's with stuff like this, you know, there's always debate with readers, like, does this make sense to read on its own? Does this make sense to read first, or will you not appreciate it until you read it later? This one I really do think can be read pretty much at any point. Like I said, I didn't read it first. I actually didn't know about this and the other short works that she's written until later on, but I decided to jump in here. And it does really just provide some nice background, like I said, on a character from the series, but also just shows us, like I said, glimpses of the world. I'm being pretty vague here, because while reading this won't spoil you for anything in the main series, I don't want to spoil you anything that you read if you pick this up. So definitely, I think if you've read Words of Light and Shadow, and you're reading and you're enjoying it, definitely check out the short works. Right now I've just read this one and Sundering Star. Sundering Star is one you should not read until you are a bit deeper into the series, because that will kind of spoil some things for later on. But the other ones that she has, I can't remember the names right now. The other shorts, though, can be read once you're not too terribly far in, and then there's one that I won't be able to read for a while, because it's not supposed to be read until after you're pretty deep in. So there's kind of these little ones in bits you can get here, find out new things, and I just am so enjoying this world, and so getting a little bit more information in the world and seeing any other bits is something that I enjoy. But also, if you haven't read, like I said, this will introduce you to some elements, and you'll kind of get a feel for how things worked at this time, what the players are, why things are the way that they are in the first book, Curse of the Mistwraith, as well as introducing some of the bigger players that you're going to see later on with organizations and different things that are going on here. So definitely one I think to check out. Like I said, it's short, and so it'll give you a feel. I will just specifically note too that the elements of this being somewhat a love story, that is not nearly as much a focus in the main series, so I will say that. But you also get action and intrigue and conspiracies and all kinds of world building, even in this short 100 pages, and that stuff you'll get plenty more of too in the main series as well. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about this one just because I know I've been talking a ton about the Wars of Light and Shadow, and I know a lot of people are hesitant to start such a big series, so this I think is maybe something for you to check out. People have also mentioned To Ride Hell's Chasm, which is not in this world, that it is a standalone. It's supposed to be a good introduction to Janny Wurts and her writing style that you're going to find in general. She actually wrote that after Peril's Gate, which I just finished. I do definitely plan to read that, but I'm focusing more so on the Wars of Light and Shadow right now. So definitely we'll get to that as well, and I haven't read that, so I can't confirm. But specifically, since this short work does fall within the world of the Wars of Light and Shadow, it's I think a very good starting point. That's really all I have to say on this one, though. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizard Leader with Discord if you want to chat books, whether this book, other books, any books, really anything at all. It is a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And, of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.